way through the week. Thank you so much for hanging with us here on First Take on this Wednesday morning. Good morning to you. And I'm so fired up because I got you two both in the house. Max Kellerman,
And is back
Stephen
together
A. I'm
again.
Molly Karam. Thank you guys for being with us. Yes. And you guys want to get right into it here?
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. So when asked Monday about potentially keeping the starting job when Tony Romo returns from his back injury, the Cowboys rookie quarterback Dak Prescott made it clear this is Romo's team. The Cowboys owner and GM, Jerry Jones, he agrees. Here's what he said on his radio appearance on Tuesday.
It's Tony's team. Tony has the experience, and he has just the ability to make us a better team, and so that's the only way you look at it right now. It's a great place to be to have someone of Tony Romo's stature that could be playing for several years, and then have Dak Prescott as well for our future. It's really impressive. I mean, not impressive, but it's just feels good.
He's got options. It's all good. It's a positive. Stephen A., do you have a problem with Jerry Jones saying it's Romo's team when he returns?
Not at all. I don't have a problem with Jerry Jones at all because it feeds into the buffoonery that is religiously associated with the Dallas Cowboys. This is a beautiful thing for me. I actually love it because the fact of the matter is that at 36 years of age, having not played a full 16 games since 2012, having won a grand total of 2 playoff games in his entire career, this is what Tony Romo has, the undying support, the unwavering support and love of Jerry Jones. I think it works. I really, really do. Because to me, that just elevates the fact that Dak Prescott is playing with house money. He really has very little to nothing to be concerned about. It's Jerry Jones being the hype machine that he is, keeping the intrigue alive. It falls right in line with everything that we know the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones to be. Let me keep interest. Let me keep suspense. Let me keep let me keep winning headlines. Let me keep that interest at an all-time high, thinking that it's going to galvanize Dallas Cowboy fans everywhere, keep them very intrigued and entertained. Everybody's talking about the Cowboys. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? It's good for ratings. It's good for an audience. It's good to get people to walk through the turnstiles. It's good for everything but winning football games. Works for me, Max Kellerman. Works for me.
I was wondering how you were going to argue this. See, when we get in the morning,
right,
the question is, what do you think about the Cowboys?
That's right.
This is a debate show.
That's right.
So, Max, what do you think about what Jerry Jones said? You have a problem with it? Yup. Stephen A., stop right there.
That's right.
So I'm sitting here waiting for you to tell me why you don't have a problem with it, and it's because you hate the Cowboys.
Oh, it's not the only reason. I mean, that's just one of the reasons. I mean, that always plays a role in my commentary about the Cowboys. It's really their fan base that I hate because they're the worst in American history. They're the most delusional fan base America has ever seen, and it's an embarrassment and a disgrace that they've gotten hoodwinked the way that they do, caught up with the star, the helmet, the cheerleaders, and all of that stuff. I mean, listen, I understand all of that, but
Next,
the bottom
you're going to say some of my best friends are Cowboys fans.
No, you know what? Not all, but I mean, I will confess to you that a lot of them are, and this is actually my favorite time of year because when they mess up, I get to rub it in everybody's face, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Look,
well, go ahead.
Look, I do have a problem with what Jerry Jones said here. If you hate the Cowboys, and I do, I suppose you shouldn't, but I do, just as a football fan, have a problem with this, Stephen A. What other owner comes out and emasculates the coach this way? We say, well, he's also the GM. He's the owner and the GM. Okay, but what other GM does it? Like, I can't think of Mara or Rooney or Kraft or one of those family-owned Northeast old-school football programs, franchises, when they're asked a question about the quarterback, taking it upon themselves to essentially tell the coach and everyone else what the plan is for who's going to start under center. That is not the owner's job. That's not the GM's job. The coach is supposed to make that decision. That points to dysfunction. It shows you why the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl in so long. Let's not forget that when Jerry Jones was winning Super Bowls, it was largely as a result of manipulating the system. He's the one who crams, or leads the charge for the salary cap and then figures out a way around the salary cap with bonus structures when he brings in Deion Sanders, right? Like, he had a good nucleus and kept it going and won some championships. Nothing since then, because it's a dysfunctional franchise. One, he's an entrepreneur. There are lots of things to like about him, but if you're a football fan, particularly a Cowboys fan, this stuff's got to drive you crazy. If it were anyone else doing the job that Jerry Jones has been doing as GM, Jerry Jones, the owner, would have fired him a long time ago, but he's not going to fire himself. And it is inappropriate for, well, it's his team. He can do whatever he wants. Sure, he can, and they can lose as they've been doing in recent years. It's inappropriate for the owner and or the GM to come out and state who is going to play. The coach is supposed to make that decision.
Yeah, but even whether it's the Dallas Cowboy fan base or whether it's critics like you need to get over it, because this has been Jerry Jones forever. It's going to be Jerry Jones. It is Jerry's world. We all know that, at least behind closed doors, that's what owners do. So him coming out front and center and doing it publicly for everybody to see is no big deal. Let's also take into account this fact, and far be it for me to be sacrilegious, because contrary to popular belief, I am a very nice guy. All right, I just want that to be. I just want that to be stated.
You are.
By the way, in case anyone's wondering, he happens to be a very nice guy.
I happen to be
I
happen to be a very nice guy. But here's the thing. Dak Prescott, everybody's been bloviating about him a little bit too much here. Yes, he's completed 62% of his passes. He has not thrown an interception. He also has not thrown a touchdown. It's not like Dak Prescott is just taking the world by storm. It's not like he's Dan Marino, who comes into a game his second year in the league or whenever it was and just literally takes over for Don Strock and everybody else doing the kind of things that he's doing. I mean, this is not the Dak Prescott we've seen. We saw him convert 4 of his 6 third-down conversions on Sunday against the Redskins, 8 yards or longer. We saw that. We saw a 4th and 11. We saw a 4th and 10. We saw stuff like that. And we saw him convert by making a couple of good throws. Dak Prescott has been very impressive. Impressive for a rookie. Impressive for a rookie 4th rounder. But has he knocked our socks off to the point where we need to start planning for a parade in Big D? I would say pump the brakes, hold the horses.
You can say that.
I am saying
That's appropriate for you to say. You're paid to give your opinion. I can say that. I agree. If I'm running the Cowboys and Romo comes back, I argued this the other day, Romo's team. The coach can say that if he chooses, but for the owner/GM to come out publicly on the airwaves and say that it's that guy's team, maybe, by the way, maybe Dak doesn't do so well in the next several games. Maybe he sets the world on fire. It is inappropriate. It points to the dysfunction of the team, and it cuts the legs out.
Well, mentioning the words dysfunction in the Dallas Cowboys is like mentioning the sky is blue, okay? We all understand that historically dysfunctionality is like...
If I said the sky was blue, you'd say it's not.
It's like a synonym for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's just call it what it is. But the flip side to it, how do you sound? Where is this capitalistic friend of mine that's my partner on First Take? What has happened to you? You have sold your soul. Because let me tell you something right now. Jerry Jones, the billion-dollar playpen. Jerry Jones, the billion-dollar owner. Jerry Jones, who has helped the Cowboys elevate their stature to being worth more than $4.2 billion, which is more than any sports franchise in America. That same Jerry Jones is the guy that had the temerity, the unmitigated gall, the lack of wisdom, or what somebody want to say, the cojones, to sit up there and give Tony Romo a $100 million contract, even though he only had 1 playoff victory on his resume at the time. You trying to tell me the dude that cuts the check, not just for the player, but for everything and everybody, okay? You were just at a fight this week at Jerry World.
Sure was.
In the stadium.
50,000 plus.
In the stadium that he built. Excuse me. So if he did all of this, you trying to tell me that he does not have the right to say, this dude that I paid this money to is my quarterback? He doesn't have the right to say that?
Everyone has the right. This is America. You can say whatever you want. Okay, I mean, you have the right to do it, but should he do it? No. Does it help the Cowboys or hurts them? You're arguing it helps their business. I'm arguing that may be so. But if that's the case, it's at the expense of the on-field product.
Yeah, but you show that at least when it comes to Cowboys, your knowledge is questionable. Because everyone knows that Jason Garrett is a puppet as opposed to a head coach. We all know this. Jerry Jones has been pulling his strings forever. Call it what it is. When has Jason Garrett made decisions as the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys? That has always been Jerry Jones. So what's the big deal?
Since he ran Jimmy Johnson out of town, since he ran him off, the Cowboys have suffered. They won once under Switzer.
That's right.
Won once.
They did
that
win
was
one
still
under
Jimmy
Switzer.
Johnson's
and
team, basically.
Yes, they did. Well, Jerry Jones would tell you it was his team.
Yeah, well,
because he was the one. Hold it. Jimmy Johnson was the coach. Right. But at the same time, Jerry Jones was the one making a lot of the decisions.
And what's happened
he thought
since,
he should have gotten credit
other than that first year after the fact, which is still Jimmy Johnson, you could argue easily the effects of Jimmy Johnson. What has he won since then?
Well, let's analyze something here. I am not about to sit here and defend the ineptitude of the Dallas Cowboys. I make a living talking about how flagrantly inept they have been. But let's be clear, in fairness to Jerry Jones, the future Hall of Famer, by the way, because he should be in the Hall of Fame. Let's be clear. They get Barry Switzer. They go to the NFC Championship game. Why do they lose? Because the 49ers have a brother named Prime Time that is so elite, so big time, he don't even work in the daytime. It's almost sacrilegious to have Deion Sanders working in the daytime because Prime Time is truly Prime Time. So what does he do? He gets San Francisco, gets the Super Bowl, and then switches to the Dallas Cowboys. Who got that?
I gave him credit for that.
All right, that's what I'm saying. Jerry Jones did that. Jerry Jones did that.
Because he manipulated
just hasn't done anything since. That's
he installed the system
plus.
and then manipulated it year one. Since then, he hasn't been able to pull that trick. It's been more about football decisions, and he's been really terrible when you look at the track record as owner GM in terms of the on-field product, considering how much they care about winning and the resources they have. There are owners throughout the history of sports who've made bad decisions because they have empowered themselves too much in terms of talking to the media about things, in terms of dictating to the organization. George Steinbrenner for the Yankees, there was a 10-year-plus period where he was a bad owner for the Yankees. He wound up getting kicked out of baseball. During that time, his executives were empowered. The Yankees wound up to having a dynasty because he stayed out of it. Jerry Jones, until he learns to stay out of it, to take a back seat, to give someone else the GM job, to not dictate to the coach, the Cowboys will never win a Super Bowl.
Never going to do that.
First of all, it doesn't matter with this particular bunch of misfits. It doesn't work. It doesn't mean a thing. Whether Jerry Jones says it or not, the fact of the matter is, collectively, as a unit, whether he has faith in Tony Romo or not, whether he speaks about it or not, whether he forces Jason Garrett to start him or not, it doesn't make a difference. It's because the parts don't necessarily fit. We all know this. So why are you sitting here acting like it's a big deal?
It's a symptom. The fact that he's a GM is a symptom of his ego. The fact that he's making these calls in the media is a symptom of his ego. It's symptomatic of the problem, and he's the problem.
There you go.
And your ego will get you every time.
You want some tissue?
I'm a Giants fan, brother. I don't need these.
It sounds like you need some tissue to me. I have no problem with it whatsoever. None.
All right, let's get to America's other team here. And speaking of quarterback injuries, the New England Patriots, Jimmy Garoppolo sprained his AC joint in his throwing shoulder and was forced to leave Sunday's game against Miami, and rookie Jacoby Brissett took over. Now on a short week, as New England hosts the Texans Thursday in Foxborough, it's being reported by the Boston Herald that the Patriots are pressuring Garoppolo to be ready as quickly as possible. Garoppolo was listed as a limited participant in practice yesterday and could be active for Thursday night. Max?
Yeah.
Should Jimmy G feel pressure to play against the Texans?
If he wants to stay in New England, yeah. If the team is, if the reports are true and the team is pressuring him and he wants to stay on the Patriots, then there's pressure to play. But if he's smart, then he won't feel any pressure to play. Here's the thing. Well, how are you going to make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl? Winning a Super Bowl has ancillary financial benefits later in your career, broadcasting, endorsements, all that stuff. But just making to the playoffs, winning some games, anything short of a Super Bowl, all the NFL is a TV show. Kids, I hope you understand this. It's just a TV show. It's competitive, but it's a TV product. That's where the money's coming from.
Why are you always saying kids like we got 5-year-olds watching?
Well,
I mean, listen, they get it.
To a man of my intellect, the entire world seems like 5 years.
That is true. That is true. I bought a thesaurus yesterday just for you. But go ahead, just for dealing with you. Go ahead.
Now, so if the season is a TV show and the postseason is just a bigger TV show for which you get paid less, for example. Here are the bonuses last season. Wild card, you get 25 grand. Divisional round, 25 grand. Conference championship, 46 grand. You lose the Super Bowl, you get 51 grand. Even if you win it, 102,000. So guys making 20 million or something like that, or has the chance to, these are peanuts so hey, you should care so much about winning a championship. They're hoodwinking these players that, forget about your source of income. Be on an even bigger TV show. Now, let me tell you what happens if he doesn't worry about that so much, meaning he doesn't care so much if he plays in New England where there's a good chance to play in the Super Bowl or somewhere else where he just gets paid. Brock Osweiler started 7 games last year, signed a 4-year, $72 million contract. Matt Flynn had 1 start, 480 yards and 6 touchdowns against the Lions. The next year signed a 3-year, $26 million deal with the Seahawks, 2012.
Oh, I remember that.
1 start. Jimmy Garoppolo, given his age, given what he's shown on the field so far in 2 starts, well, Brady's going to be back in a couple games. He better rush on the field or he won't get another start. Even if he doesn't, has a chance, if he doesn't play any more this year or next year, which I'm claiming will be Brady's last effective season, has a chance to cash in on these 2 games. If his health is compromised to where he thinks it could be an ongoing problem, a chronic, lingering problem, it can affect his value on the marketplace, there is no way he should risk it at that point. It is irrational for him to do so just to stay in New England.
Your argument is weak because what you did was take both sides of the argument so neither could be attacked when, in fact, both of them could be attacked in this particular situation. Very beautiful strategy on your part. Not
Touche.
working.
Let's see.
Not working.
Let's see what you got.
Here's the deal. First of all, it all comes back to the point about Brady as it pertains to you, who swears up and down he's going to be done in 16 months to 18 months or so, that Tom Brady is going to be done. It won't work. Tom Brady's going to be around for at least the next 3 years at this level. I've said it before. I'm saying it again. Plus 40. Tom Brady is going to be Tom Brady unless Bill Belichick, and I'm certainly not wishing any harm to him. God bless him. You know, you climb up there in age, you just never know. I mean, I hope he's around. But as long as Bill Belichick...
Think that about Brady, not Belichick.
As long as Bill Belichick is around, well, you don't know. I mean, Bill Belichick with those sweat outfits and all of that other stuff. I don't know how often he's on the treadmill or the elliptical machine or whatever the case may be. I hope he's healthy. I think he's a brilliant coach. He's great. I love him, which is saying a lot since I'm from New York and he's damn Massachusetts. But the bottom line is greatness, and that's the respect that I have for the great Bill Belichick, regardless of what callers on my radio show like Carlton from Massachusetts and others who hate Bill Belichick talk about him all the time.
Carlton?
He's crazy. He's brilliant. Carlton's brilliant, but crazy. But here's the deal. The point that I'm trying to make to you is I'm telling you that Brady, as long as Bill Belichick is the coach of this team, Brady's got at least 3 years in him at this level.
So you're proving my point if you believe that.
So what I'm saying to you is this. If you are Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, to answer the question one way directly, not 2 ways, one way, there is no pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo to play at all, Max. If I'm him, listen, I'm acting like I'm hurt more so than I am. I'm sitting there chilling. The way he's played these first 2 games, particularly in the first half against Miami, he really only played a game and a half because of the Brock Osweiler's of the world and the numbers that you threw out there. There's no pressure on him whatsoever.
Well, unless he wants to stay in New England.
Wait a minute. Well, but why? Why would you? If you want to be a football player and a quarterback, why in God's name would anybody want to stay in New England? Because unlike Max Kellerman, listen, unlike Max Kellerman,
you think he'd have to sit another few years?
He'd have to sit at least another 3 years. At least another 3 years.
So Stephen A.
Why?
Here, Molly,
Why?
banking on the fact that Tom Brady is the exception to the rule that in all of human history, no quarterback's been elite at 41. He'll be the first.
Hold on. I take offense to the word banking on. To me, there is no gamble. I'm sitting back here chilling, waiting for my green smoothie drink. I'll look right at you and tell you, I am literally not concerned at all about Tom Brady for the next 2 years.
How was Derek Jeter in his last season? Was he? How was Kobe Bryant? How was Peyton Manning?
I have a question for you.
I'll answer those questions. Hold on. Molly wants to get into the questions.
Yeah, so say Tom Brady stays healthy, right, for 3 more years, and he's a starting quarterback in the New England Patriots.
Yes.
And you're Jimmy Garoppolo, and you want to be a starting quarterback for another team, and this is essentially an audition for you. Don't you think there's something to be said through playing through injury and showing that he didn't get hurt in his second start, and then he's going to sit and be like, I'm cool.
I can answer that question. Of course, there's something to be said about it. But my point is, because of the suckers that exist in professional sports, meaning and I don't want to sit there.
I know where you're going with this.
Let me be clear. I'm not saying suckers in this particular instance in a derogatory fashion. I understand why Rick Smith and Houston gave Brock Osweiler that money. I understand those things. I don't mean it that way.
They're playing
what I'm saying when I bring in the word sucker, I'm saying minimal work getting you this money. And I'm saying if you're Garoppolo, because of the mystique that is the New England Patriots, because of Bill Belichick and what he brings to the table, because of their history of excellence, if you are a Jimmy Garoppolo, you can literally sit back and chill right now, and somebody will be calling the New England Patriots for the rights to you so they can sit there and have you as their quarterback. Why would you jeopardize that?
You talked to, who was it, Carlton from Massachusetts, who's very brilliant?
Yes.
Okay.
Nobody hates Bill Belichick more.
I have people tweeting a lot at me.
He's gone.
I have people tweeting a lot at me about this age thing that I've been talking about, Brady falling off the cliff.
Yeah.
From Massachusetts and other parts unknown.
Because they know that you're crazy.
And none of them are brilliant.
They know that you're crazy.
In fact, most of them are mentally impaired from what it seems on my timeline. Now
that's not Carlton.
Right, I'm not saying it is. But I want to explain something very clearly to people.
As long as
who are
it's not
saying, this athlete in another sport is Brady's age and he's still playing good. I'm not talking about a baseball player. I'm not talking about a basketball player.
Yeah, the voice was
I'm not talking about a player at another position. I just want to say this loud and clear. No quarterback in NFL history who has been elite has maintained elite production at the age of 41 and beyond. Ever.
Okay.
None. Clear?
All right.
Brady will be 41 before the end of next year.
We got it. You've made that point on a number of occasions. Here's my retort. When you talk about Brady, I'm tired of you bringing up Kobe. I'm tired of you bringing up Derek Jeter. I'm tired of you bringing up guys like that.
Peyton Manning?
Wait a minute. Derek Jeter.
Derek
Jeter. Well, wait a minute. Yeah. Derek Jeter was an everyday player. 162 games a year, all of that other stuff. Kobe Bryant, basketball, running up and down the court, literally carrying the franchise on your shoulders. Peyton Manning, those 4 neck surgeries. Tom Brady has been relatively healthy. More importantly than that, playing in New England systems, particularly with the quick drop-offs, particularly with the 2 tight end set, especially now that you got Martellus Bennett to join Rob Gronkowski, that is a different animal.
Brett Favre
it is not applicable.
Played well late, but not. He fell off before the age of 41.
But what he was subjected to.
I can't wait till Brady's 41.
What he was subjected to, Brady has never been.
Right, and what happens when you age, ask any doctor, is your bones get more brittle. You are more likely to suffer injury doing the same
that. I'm the one that's oldest up here. I can confirm that more so than you, 43-year-old.
I got a high ankle sprain right now.
Yeah, and you were limping big time this weekend, but that's okay. You still survived. The point that I'm trying to make to you is this. Brady hasn't been subjected to what those guys were subjected to.
Yeah.
He will excel 3 years from now, just like he is.
Why can't it be a year from now already? Yeah.
We got to leave it there. You were a little hard yesterday on one Jay Cutler.
So
we're going to continue that conversation because you were mentioning he was the worst QB, right, because of how he was as a leader. There's some new news, and I think you might change your mind, Stephen A. Smith. We'll discuss that next.
We'll see. I think he's the worst leader as a quarterback in the NFL. This man ultimately sucks the life out of guys around him. I'm not playing. I think he's horrible. I'm going to encourage the city of Chicago to ban this man from the city of Chicago. This dude is the worst quarterback in the NFL. He is an absolute joke.
Banned from the city of Chicago. Jay Cutler has a sprained thumb but won't need surgery. Head coach John Fox said Cutler is day-to-day with the injury to his throwing hand. He's been under heavy criticism since bowing out of Monday's loss to the Eagles, but Jim Harbaugh has come to Cutler's defense, saying the criticism is coming from people that don't know Jay. Tyrann Mathieu, on the other hand, trolled Cutler after Monday Night Football with a tweet that he later deleted, saying, "Ha, y'all paying him $20+ million. Where is his growth?" Stephen A., now that you know he's injured, how do you feel about Cutler now?
Same way I felt yesterday. My feelings haven't changed one bit. I really don't understand why y'all having such a hard time comprehending where I'm coming from. Especially you, Molly, because you've been, Max has an excuse. Max has an excuse because he's been here since July 25th. You have been around considerably longer. Tell me one time my feelings about Jay Cutler have ever changed. Once.
Oh, you've been
it has never happened because he stinks. He is horrible.
You're cold as ice, Stephen A.
He is hard. Yeah, you was cold as ice. You know what I'm saying? Rick James, Dave Chappelle. Here's the deal. He's cold as ice. But here's the deal. He's horrible because he's not a leader and he doesn't galvanize you. Think about this. You had a dude on the PUP list. He can't even play. Hasn't been available to the media, hasn't been available to practice since the end of last season. And Pernell McPhee, who bumped him, then got in the face of his quarterback. Had he done that to anybody else, he would have been cut. You know, right? No problem, because it's Jay Cutler. You got teammates that sit up there and depart from Chicago. Brandon Marshall called him out on first take. You were there. You were an eyewitness to that. Brandon Marshall, is there a receiver in the National Football League who wears pom-poms on behalf of his quarterback?
Always.
Let me tell you something right now. If you are a quarterback in the NFL, you want Brandon Marshall as your receiver. I'm trying to tell you right now, you don't need a publicist. You don't need a PR firm. You don't need anything. Just get Brandon Marshall to be your receiver. And this dude will sing for you all day, every day. And even he came on the air and called out Jay Cutler. You've got, Tyrann Mathieu. The dude was just out last year because he suffered this injury, which is why I think that Arizona had such a big loss in the NFC Championship game. I think it would have been more competitive against Carolina had he been playing. He comes out having suffered an injury and still takes the time to call you out. And those are just a few. Those are just a few. When we talk about Jay Cutler, we're not talking about his ability. A matter of fact, what you're doing, it's just a fly. Just swat it away. It's going to be okay, Molly. Here's the deal. Don't tell her that. She'll panic. You're supposed to leave that alone. Here's the deal. When you look at a Jay Cutler, you must understand it's not because he doesn't have the talent that people get on him. It's because they know he does have the talent, but he doesn't have the heart. He doesn't care enough. He literally goes home, and it's like, that's y'all problem. I'm getting my check. The sun's going to shine tomorrow, even in the Windy City, and everything is going to be okay.
How do we know he feels that way?
Excuse me, look at him.
Like,
look
that's
at him
okay. Like, he's home okay.
Look at him on the field. Look at him on the sideline. I am telling you right now.
He's miserable.
This man has been in this league since 2006. It is now 2016. I saw the man smile once, and that was when he was signing this contract extension.
Maybe he's miserable. They're not playing well.
Well, please. He is miserable because he's a miserable quarterback, because he's a guy that doesn't galvanize the troops around him. Have you ever been around people who have no leadership capability whatsoever? They just lag along, but they're getting the biggest check. It's a damn shame, but it's Jay Cutler. Do you know that Jay Cutler gets paid more than Von Miller? Do you know that Jay Cutler gets paid? I don't know whether he gets paid more than
Tom Brady.
Listen, he makes more than oh my Lord.
But Tom takes pay cuts. That's a different deal.
Well, you know, Tom Brady also gets those signing bonuses too, and all of that. So we don't know how much money he's taking home. And not only that, Giselle got him covered as well, which never hurts. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that this is Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler, I'm sure, has a wonderful family, wonderful wife, wonderful children. He has every reason to be happy. But certainly the city of Chicago and the Bears fan base has nothing. Last point. I was at the Hall of Fame a couple of weeks ago. Basketball Hall of Fame. Yep. My man Shaq, AI, both got inducted.
Oh, shouted you out in their speeches.
Well, I appreciate that, especially from AI. I didn't see that coming. I was very touched by it. But let me make my point here. AI, the crowd was going crazy. Long before they introduced him. They just showed a picture of him, and the crowd was going crazy. They were people who drove up from Philly to Springfield, Massachusetts to come and see AI. Do you know why? It wasn't just because of the numbers.
Toughness.
Never won the championship. It's because his persona, the very fiber of his being, personified everything the city of Philadelphia prides itself in being about, a blue-collar town with heart. Chicago is like that, too. And Jay Cutler is their representative. This is the problem, and y'all will figure it out eventually. Stay with me. Stay with me.
Look, I know you say that the analogy is not perfect. It's what analogy is. Comparing football players to boxers, because as a boxer, you're only responsible for yourself. As a football player, you have to answer to your teammates and your fan base, and especially your teammates and your coaches. But to make the analogy, I've seen fighters who are really good quit when the going got rough. It wasn't at a moment where it was unreasonable to quit. A reasonable person would quit at that moment. But Evander Holyfield wouldn't have quit. I mean, Holyfield wouldn't have quit. That's why he's one of the all-time greats, and the other guy who quit is not. Okay, if you want to compare the toughness of athletes to Allen Iverson, the vast majority who ever lived will come up short, because Allen Iverson was a prize fighter dressed up as a basketball player. That dude was tough, and no one is putting Jay Cutler in that category. We sell sports through narrative, through storytelling. That's what we're doing here. That's how the human brain understands the world. We create stories about the world, and we map it onto reality. We need heroes and obstacles and villains. That's how we sell sports. It's how we, not just boxing and football, baseball, basketball. What's the story of LeBron James, the hero, a villain? What's the obstacle? The more interesting the character, the bigger the obstacle, the better the story. But we also need bad guys. And I'm here to tell you, Stephen A., that the reason you overreact to Jay Cutler's lack of toughness in this respect is because nature abhors a vacuum, and so does Stephen A. Smith. You need a villain. The NFL needs a villain. And in terms of players playing on the field, at the quarterback position especially, because that's who we care most about, who are the villains? There was Deflategate with Tom Brady. I think in certain respects he's become sympathetic because people are against the NFL and don't like the way they handled it. Who are the villains at quarterback? The answer is Jay Cutler. Now, does he make it easy? Is it low-hanging fruit? Yeah. Did he quit on his team in the NFC Championship game? Yeah. But what happened the other day, if he has a thumb sprain and he feels he can't throw the ball, I know the ethos in football is, but you got to always want it and say, Coach, I'm okay. The great Herm Edwards on this show yesterday talking about that. Usually he'll be like, Coach, I'm good. But if that quarterback feels like I can't throw the ball with my thumb the way it is, it would be selfish for him to keep himself in the game, especially when you have a competent veteran backup like Hoyer on the bench. If the quarterback believes that guy gives the team a better chance to win, then he should defer and say, look, I can't throw the ball. If he's being a good teammate, he'll say that guy gives you a better chance to win. And in terms of the fact that, well, it's just a sprain, you know, you could come back right away. It doesn't need, or you could play with it. I just told you I have a high ankle sprain, right? Now, it got better in a couple days.
Oh, I thought you were kidding.
No, I really did. The other day, Stephen A. saw me limping around in L.A. It was bad. First day, I thought it was broken. I couldn't put any pressure on it. By the second day, I was limping better. Third and fourth day, I'm basically walking around normal. But I know people, and I've had sprains where it was 2 and 3 weeks later. There's no way to tell exactly. Medical science is not an exact science. It's not chemistry or astronomy or physics. It's an inexact science. Not only do you not know what the guy is feeling, you don't know how long it's going to take him to heal. So just because it's a sprain and not a fracture, now in retrospect, people can go back and say, Cutler could have toughed it out. We don't know that. We don't know what he was feeling. And if the case was that he was feeling that Hoyer gave the team a better chance, then as I said, it would have been selfish to stay in the game. But given his history, given the look on his face like it's whatever all the time, he's an easy target for everyone's outrage because we need a villain in the NFL.
Brilliant soliloquy, Max Kellerman. I mean, I'm just so impressed, so touched. You know, if we were in class, I would sit up there and I would just be like, wow, I just got to come back to this class. I got to hear him talk.
Class is in session every day, Stephen.
But then
hope you're learning something.
I wish. Oh, I'm learning something from you every day, my brother. I am learning something from you every day. I'm not sure it's much, but I'm learning something. Here's the deal.
Likewise.
This is the thing that kills me. You know, listen, it's all love, baby. It's all love. Here's the deal. Let me have my own set of facts, because as you point out that soliloquy, I like to go back to my notes and stuff like that I pull up and I save, you know, just for you. You remember when, in 2014, when Jay Cutler got that $126.7 million contract?
I do.
All right, okay. 7 years. Remember that? Okay. Do you remember that was immediately after he had a 5-6 record in an injury-shortened 2013 campaign? So you're the Chicago Bears, and after a 5-6 record, you decide to invest 7 years and $126.7 million. Any of us would have taken the money. No crime against Jay Cutler for taking the money. But there's a reason that Phil Emery is gone as the GM. There's a reason Lovie Smith is gone. There's a reason ultimately Mark Trestman was gone. This dude gets coaches fired. He got $18.5 million a year before last, I think last year as well. When you look at the breakdown of this dude's contract, and then you look at his record, which is 2 games beyond 500, he is a walking piece of mediocrity. I called him a football abomination, but that's because of his leadership. On-field ability, he doesn't bring you results. And then on top of it all, Max, the professor, whether it's Spock Kellerman or Professor Kellerman or whatever the case may be, I come to class. Max Kellerman's got a class, Molly. He's got a class. He's the professor. Professor Kellerman. I'm here to be taught. I'll be the student.
Great.
Sure. Here's the problem.
Finally waiting for this moment.
Here's the problem. Here's the big moment here. So I go into class, right? And we learn that the class is 2 hours, all right? And I got to sit there and just listen to you. And I'm like this. After a while, if you say what you say, why? Because it's irrelevant to the fan base that is representing your franchise. It's irrelevant for the team and the classmates or the teammates around you. It's irrelevant to all of that. Everything you say is very, very valid in terms of, okay, this is the thinking, this is what may have been going on. Think about what you said, though. His thumb may have hurt more than we thought. Oh, if this guy, Brian Hoyer, I know he's got a winning record as a quarterback as a starter at 15 and 11. But he's Brian Hoyer.
But if
okay,
you can't
wait a minute.
It's not like it's a rookie that's never played, like someone.
Listen, I got it. I understand. So Molly, you got a slight cold. The allergies working. Yeah. Why don't you get up and let somebody else host the show? Oh, Max, you hurt your ankle. It was real bad. Let me ask you a question. Yeah. Didn't we hang out on Sunday night? Didn't we have a damn good time? Sure I still got to thank you for that party again, baby. I mean, he took me to the HBO party. It was off the chain. Let me ask you this question. Him. But here's the deal, Max. Yeah. I'm sorry. What did I just ask? We went to a party. Hold on, wait a minute. The ankle was jacked up. I mean, I can't even. We don't have enough room for me to imitate. Max made it though, right? So what I'm saying to you is this. So let me get this straight. You had to do what you had to do. You would do what you had to do. But color, the thumb. Hold on, the thumb is, it's hurting. It's
I'm giving you, Professor Keller is giving you an A for effort, but a C- on the analogy. Let's make the analogy correct because I appreciate the imagination. The analogy there is a broadcaster, Stephen A. Smith, has laryngitis. You can't be heard and you have a radio show, but you literally can't. You're talking like this. And there's someone really good sitting right there. Mike Greenberg is sitting right there, and they're like, hey, Stephen A., Mike can come into your show for you.
Horrible analogy. If you said hosting a radio show, sure. But in this chair, there's only one, baby. There's only one. And even with laryngitis, I would have showed up.
You probably would have out-talked whoever was on the show.
I love me some me, Stephen A. Smith. Since Colin Kaepernick protested during the national anthem in the preseason, at least 20 NFL players have followed his lead, protesting for social change during the anthem. This decision has obviously come under heavy scrutiny, and yesterday, Kaepernick revealed he's also received multiple death threats since his initial protest. Here's Cap with more.
If something like that were to happen, you've proved my point. And it'll be loud and clear for everyone why it happened. And that would move this movement forward at a greater speed than what it is even now. I mean, granted, I don't want that to happen
very often,
but that's the realization of what could happen. I mean, and I knew there were other things that came along with this when I first stood up and spoke about it. So that's not something I haven't thought about.
Stephen A. Kaepernick is having his life threatened. What's your reaction to what he just said?
My reaction to what he just said is a call for America to really heed what he's saying. Essentially, if you parse his words, Colin Kaepernick just said he's willing to die for the cause that he's taken up. That's what he said. He said doesn't want it to happen. He's not wishing for it to happen, but if it happens, it will just shine a more illuminated light on the cause that he's willing to address, which is racial injustices in this country. Obviously, there's a shooting that took place. It's in the news. It took place in Charlotte, North Carolina. Another black man was gunned down by a police officer. It's important. They were rioting, or just throwing stuff at police cars. Tear gas was called upon to be used, or whatever. What we have to remember is that that police officer who shot the black man also happens to be a black police officer. It's a police officer that's been there for 2 years. He's on the job. And so when we look at it from that perspective, I've gotten to a point where I was speaking to somebody that I love dearly last night that was talking to me about how frustrated she is because she has means. And she knows so many of us in our community that have means, Max. And we're at a loss as to what to do. I've encouraged people to listen to my man Joe Madison in the morning on Sirius XM Review, Karen Hunt in the afternoon on the same channel. Voices like myself, my man Warren Ballantyne, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, Mark Lamont Hill with his new book out, et cetera, et cetera. There are Mark Thompson as well. There's a plethora of us from the African-American community that have to come together and be willing to do what we can. But we have to recognize the fact that this is serious, serious stuff that's going on. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if things don't get addressed and we don't start talking about solutions, then this is only going to get worse. I got more to say, but go ahead, Max. I just think that's the point that I want to make first and foremost.
There's a history in this country of black athletes being threatened with anonymous death threats. Muhammad Ali, when he refused induction, when he converted to Islam and then refused induction into the armed services. Hank Aaron, when he was going to break Babe Ruth's home run record. And there are others, and now Colin Kaepernick, for protesting peacefully and respectfully the national anthem, which has no other way to say it, racist verse that we no longer sing.
Yeah.
This country has a history of threatening and worse black men anonymously. People with hoods and masks did it anonymously because they're cowards. And the person who sent an anonymous death threat to Colin Kaepernick is a coward. That's a terroristic threat.
Yep.
The point is to chill free speech, is to stop him from expressing his point of view. They should be, I hope law enforcement investigates it seriously. I hope they catch the person. I hope they prosecute them to the full extent of the law. And I hope that person goes to prison because that's where they belong. It's outrageous. And let me just speak to, I understand that the person who did this is probably inarticulate and very angry and undereducated. And so they kind of put onto Kaepernick their anger. He becomes a symbol for their anger. I understand that you're very angry. That's not okay to behave the way that you're behaving. And the fact that you are focused so much on Kaepernick's protest that you want that to stop, so you send a death threat. Here's another way to get the protest to stop. Motivate yourself politically to address the root causes of the protest in the first place. Because if the systemic racism that persists, though it's lessening over time by any objective measure, but still persists as a result of hundreds of years of oppression, if that gets better, you will see fewer protests if the protest is making you that angry.
Couple of things I wanted to touch on here. One of the solutions, and doing my radio show every day on Sirius XM, one of the things that I love about the show is that I got a lot of white callers from different parts of the country, obviously. Mississippi, North Dakota, Idaho, and, list goes on. It's not just folks calling me from Chicago, New York, LA, et cetera, et cetera. And for the most part, decent, God-fearing people that just have a different perspective and a different point of view. Primarily, their frustration evolves around the fact that the actions of the few ignorant amongst them taints a lot of them in their eyes, in the eyes of black folks. And as a result, it makes them reluctant to come forward. One of the things that I have a fantasy about working here at ESPN is that we would have that town hall. And guess what my desire for that town hall to be? I'd like to host a town hall where I'm the only black person in attendance. And I'm sitting there with a whole bunch of white folks or whomever, angry, mild-mannered, whatever the case may be. And I can literally ask them questions that others, whether it be black or whomever, are dying to know. And they're brave enough and free enough to know that we'll listen and give them an opportunity to vent their frustration with what's going on in this world. I think that's a step in the right direction. A couple of other things I wanted to point out. Economics is everything. When people have nothing to lose and they're feeling victimized, chaos is coming. It's inevitable. You're talking about the need for trade schools education. We see our president pardoning a lot of folks, or, allowing nonviolent felons to come out of jail. Well, that's not good enough. What you might need to do is make sure that their record is completely cleared so they could actually go out there and get a job. If they're nonviolent offenders, either keep them in jail or let them out and clear their record so they could go out there and get a job. Because if you let them out, but they still have a record and people are hesitant to hire them,
they can't support themselves.
Exactly, they can't support themselves. Then what do you think they're going to do? They're going to revert to crime. And I also think it's important to assist members from disenfranchised communities when it comes to ownership, because this one thing it's proven. When you own something, you value it more. When you value something more, you have something to lose, and therefore you act accordingly. I'm telling you right now, I used to think about racism all the time when I was younger. You know what I think about now? Classism. And you know when I recognize that I'm a product of classism in the worst way? Because when I bought a home and I had neighbors, sitting there, one taking care of their house, I viewed it as them bringing down the neighborhood, and all of a sudden I started acting like the people that I used to complain about. I got a vested interest, and all of a sudden, somebody roll up to me, Stephen, hey, man, love you, man, how you doing? And I'm like, could you cut your grass? Could you take care of it? Because, hell yeah, I did it because it matters to me.
You talked about what makes white people angry, essentially.
Sure.
You said you want to be the only black guy in the room.
And for that town hall.
I'll say this.
I love that idea.
Yes.
The status quo, which is unfair, we know that there is inequality. No one denies that there is inequality, and objectively it is true there is inequality. That needs to be addressed. Steps that address it, in other words, bring people that have been unequal up, in a relative sense, bring people who have enjoyed the status quo down. Now, you may say in an absolute sense, everyone's lot in life gets better. For example, there's air conditioning now. There didn't used to be. There's refrigeration. There used to be. But that's not the way people experience the world. People experience the world not in an absolute sense, in a relative sense. We're competitive. People are by nature competitive. They're comparing it to what the people around them have. And so even if in an absolute sense, life is getting better for people in areas, those who enjoy the status quo and see others come up, see their neighbors who didn't do so well come up in the world, experience that often as a relative decline in their own fortunes. And I think that's where a lot of the anger that you see around a black athlete, for example, who in the old days would have been called uppity enough to sit down during the national anthem comes from. How dare he? How dare he challenge the status quo that has been good to me? As he comes up in the world, I feel that as a relative decline in my world. And I think that's where a lot of this anger that you talk about comes from.
Last point I like to make is this. Your points, highly respected, really appreciate them. You heard what I had to say. Yeah. Let's bring this home. Let me emphasize this. Nothing better happened to Colin Kaepernick. People want peace. You don't do that. The way this world is going right now, nothing better not happen to Colin Kaepernick. I'm just going to leave it at that. There would be a problem. There would be a problem. We don't want that.
No.
We don't want that.
We will leave it there. We all remember in June when the Warriors lost the NBA Finals in historic fashion. The Cavaliers took them down in Game 7 after Golden State was up 3-1. And now that Steph Curry is 3 months removed from that loss, he says he's still reflecting on it, saying this to USA Today Sports. I still haven't gotten over Game 7. That's something that will stay with me pretty much forever, for good and bad reasons. Obviously, you hated the feeling, but it's also a motivator to come back even stronger and try not to have that feeling again. I'm at that point now where I can try to fuel any kind of terrible nightmares or thoughts about Game 7 into motivation for how I'm going to prepare myself for this year. So terrible nightmares and thoughts now fuel. Stephen A., your reaction?
Well, you have reasons to be scared. Steph Curry is a superstar in this league because he's the greatest shooter we've ever seen. The guy averaged 30 last year, 50% shooting from the field, 45% shooting from three-point range. Most of his shots are from the perimeter, and he still hit 50% of his shots and averaged 30 and has won the league MVP for the second time in as many years, and nobody was disputing the fact that he's clearly the league MVP. He is a superstar because he makes shots from everywhere. but that's not the Steph Curry we saw in Game 7. He has some making up to do, which is why you take those quotes very seriously. It's not that they lost. It's that you can make a legitimate argument that they lost because of him. 17 points in Game 7, 6 of 19 shooting from the field, that's 31%. 4 of 14 shooting from three-point range, that's 28%. Numbers far below what he registered in throughout the regular season. When you combine that with some key pivotal turnovers, sort of laissez-faire attitude towards protecting the ball, Steph Curry was not 100%. And anybody who thinks he was 100% and just struggled, they don't know basketball. They don't know this guy playing basketball, because this brother was not 100% at all. You could see it. But it still doesn't excuse some of the turnovers, some of the recklessness with the basketball at key pivotal moments, derailing momentum. And here's the biggest thing it doesn't derail. We've been talking so much about what Steph Curry didn't do. We have not spoken enough about what a dude by the name of Kyrie Irving did to Steph Curry. I mean, he was giving it to him. Every chance Kyrie Irving got, when he saw Steph Curry in front of him defending him, you could literally see him drooling at the mouth, just salivate for the opportunity to dance on this brother and give it to him. And that last jump shot from the right wing beyond the three-point line that Kyrie Irving hit to seal the deal and the first championship in over 50 years for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kyrie Irving averaged 27 for the finals. It's not a moment. I mean, he was busting their butt. And that includes Klay Thompson to a lesser degree, but primarily Steph Curry. So when Steph Curry makes these kind of quotes, I'm like, uh-oh, because here he comes. He's going to need to come, even though he was not 100%, and he was injured, and it wasn't a god-awful performance. It wasn't what we expected from Steph Curry. He has some making up to do, and that means that everyone should be very, very scared, because with the acquisition of Kevin Durant, one thing is very clear. He may miss some shots in terms of getting opportunities because Kevin Durant's going to take some of those shots away from him. The flip side is the shots that Steph Curry actually does get, they're going to be open ones. And he's not one of the miscontested ones. So Lord help us all what he's going to do if he's open, which is why I'm ticked off for Kevin Durant going there, because it's just, it's a walk in the park as far as I'm concerned, which irritates me.
When the possibility of me doing this show came up, this was one of the things I really focused on. I'm going to get to talk to Stephen A. Smith about basketball during the NBA season every day and go at him about basketball, just like I know you enjoy talking to me and going at me about boxing.
Yeah, but people usually don't enjoy coming at me about basketball. They usually lose very, very glaringly. But go ahead.
Nevertheless,
yes,
he wasn't 100% Steph Curry. And that's a shame, because 2 years ago when he won the MVP, I thought, but he's not the best player in the world. You could see LeBron's still better than him. He won the regular season MVP. And he was something less than his best self in the finals that year, 2 years ago, when they won the whole thing. LeBron was the best player in the finals. He didn't have any help. Kyrie and obviously Kevin Love both hurt. But the following season, Stephen A., for several months, I thought Steph Curry's the best player in the world. He was not only the MVP the previous season, he was the most improved player off his MVP season. This is something new. He's hitting shots from so far away. Everyone has extra space. And he was inspiring kids because they looked at him, they go, no one his size was ever considered the best player in the game, ever. But he was. Even when Nash was winning MVPs, even when Iverson, they were never considered the best player in the game during Kobe and Shaq and all. But Steph, maybe he is the best player in the game. And kids could look at him and go, he's not the tallest, he's not the fastest, he doesn't jump the highest in a sport that rewards all that. But through practice, whether true or not, he made people feel inspiration. If I practice my handles, if I practice my shot, I could be the best one day. So I really love Steph Curry. I love watching him play. But Stephen A. Smith, in the finals, he was not only not 100% physically, which was clearly true. Even when he switched on to bigs, he couldn't get separation. He was messed up physically. But he had his heart taken against LeBron James. LeBron James took his heart. It gives me no pleasure to say that. Here's the proof in the pudding.
I disagree with that.
It's mentally not being 100% that was the problem, and I think that's what's eating at him right now. Here's the proof in the pudding. He wasn't good physically against the Thunder either. He was out-athleted by Westbrook and Durant. But with the chips on the line in Game 7 in the fourth quarter, I was there. We saw each other there. Steph Curry was the best player on the floor, so his team won the Western Conference Finals. It's the history of the NBA. In a close Game 7, who has the best player on the floor? That team's going to win. That was the Warriors. That was Steph Curry because Durant and Westbrook never got in his head. And by the way, fourth quarter of Game 7 against the Thunder, 5 of 6 shooting, 2 of 3 on threes, and his team won. But the fourth quarter of Game 7 against the Cavs, after LeBron not only dominated him physically, but let him know it, dunked on him, got in his face, and
Game
Steph,
6.
Game 6, and
Right.
Steph kind of slinked off as LeBron is domineering over him. That's Steph
He didn't
Curry.
slink off. He looked at him like, what?
No, he looked at him like, what? Like, oh, I don't want that.
No, please.
1 for 6 shooting in the fourth quarter of Game 7 at home, plus a kind of careless turnover behind the back. That's someone who got mentally dominated. It's okay, it's part of the learning curve. That could happen. Muhammad Ali did it to George Foreman. Never happened to Foreman again after that. In his second career, Foreman learned from that. Steph can learn from it. But what happened was the best player in the world imposed himself physically, let Steph know about it, and changed him mentally.
You're wrong. You're wrong. Steph Curry is the smaller player. Steph Curry's a shooter. His shot wasn't falling, and Kyrie was giving it to him. You keep talking about LeBron. LeBron did not snatch Steph Curry's heart. I love the way that LeBron James got in his face, but make no mistake about it. When you are a smaller dude, but you are a marksman, you're not scared of anybody because you don't believe your success or failure is about anybody
happened
else.
to his shot?
You believe it's about making shots.
What happened to his shot? Why wasn't it?
I'm saying he was hurt.
And what about, okay, but what about the careless behind the back
I
pass?
I brought all of those points up, but that doesn't mean you choked. That means you messed up.
What happened?
That's a difference.
No. Definition of choking is messing up under pressure.
No. The definition of choking is doing things that you normally do and then suddenly not being able to do it because of pressurized moments. Whereas throughout this series, periodically, Steph Curry was like that. He wasn't himself all series long. Now, if it
that
was
was the same thing against the Thunder, but in Game 7,
if Steph Curry was playing ball lights out games 1 through 6, and then all of a sudden disappears in Game 7, you have a point. But there were a myriad of games during the finals where Steph Curry didn't show up, to the point where we all knew that Draymond Green was going to get MVP if they had won the game. It wasn't going to be Steph Curry because he wasn't there.
That's my point. Physically, he was compromised. He couldn't do the things he normally does.
That's not choking.
But wait, with the money on the line against the Thunder, he was better than Durant. He was better than Westbrook. Why wasn't he able to do anything? Including pass the ball.
Because of attrition, because he wasn't 100%.
Because LeBron got in his head.
No, I don't think so.
That's why it's eating at him right now.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not when it comes to a marksman.
Regardless
Shooters
of what
don't worry
it is, he's
about
going to
that.
have a chip on his shoulder this year, and he's going to learn a lot from it, and that is very scary. Obviously,
Love you, Steph,
KD
but
there as well.
what
Speaking
happened?
of choking, is that what the Packers did when they hit a bump in the road last weekend when they lost to the Vikings? So how far did they fall in the power rankings? You might be surprised. We'll break them all down. Darren Woodson in the house with us next. So where do the top 2 NFL teams rank after 2 weeks of the season, you ask? Well, ESPN.com has released their Week 3 power rankings, and here are your top 5, my friends. After beating the Colts on Mile High on Sunday, Von Miller and the 2-0 Broncos move up 3 spots from 8 to 5. Cam Newton and the defending NFC champion Panthers move up 2 spots to number 4, getting their first win of the season against the 49ers on Sunday. 3, the Cardinals also moving up 2 spots to number 3 after crushing the Bucs in the desert for their first win of the year. Antonio Brown and company improved to 2-0 after a big divisional win over the Bengals in Pittsburgh on Sunday, vaulting the Steelers 2 spots to number 2 in the latest rankings. But your new top team in the power rankings for Week 3 is Bill Belichick and the Patriots, who improved to 2-0 after holding on to beat the Dolphins on Sunday. So here's how it is all shaking out, the new power rankings breakdown, with the Packers taking a big fall from 1 to 9 after a loss to the Vikings. Darren Woodson now with us. Good to see you.
You too, Molly.
How are we doing?
Yeah, good seeing you, Molly.
Yeah.
Great seeing just you.
All right. You see how this is going to work?
Yes.
You lucky you see
Getting a
me,
little
man.
side eye.
All right, hey, listen, you know, actually, Molly, I know you two
Yeah.
Giants.
Yeah.
fans, I know you got something to say. I'm surprised you didn't say anything, Max, when I stood up here.
Come on.
I expected it from over here.
Well, I expected 2-0, so what is there to say?
Oh,
Would you expect something different?
You did not expect
An ugly
2-0.
2-0. It is an ugly 2-0, though.
First of all, just to just remind somebody, because I just want to know, I just want everybody to know it's not me, Cowboy Nation out there. This dude has been saying that he's going to get me to come to Jerry World for a Dallas Cowboys game.
Happening?
I said to him, if you come to the game with me and I get to sit with him in Jerry's suite, I will come out and tailgate party with Dallas Cowboy fans.
Oh,
it's sick.
God.
We would not make it inside.
I would not make it inside. I would have security.
Listen. You make it out alive?
The most delusional fan base in America?
That's right.
You're going to party
I
with them?
stand by it. I stand by it. I said, no. I didn't say celebrate them. I'd be out there mocking them during their own tailgate party. I'd eat their food, though. But I tell you this much. I would be out there mocking them. And I'm telling you something right now. I would not be scared because ESPN, my man Paul and the crew, security here is top notch. I wouldn't be worried about anything. Plus, I got a couple of boys down there. I'm not worried. I'm not scared. I'm not scared. But I just want to let you know that has not happened.
I'll make
That's
it
on you.
I'll make it happen.
I just want to make sure.
That's on me.
That's on him.
It's going to happen.
This whole thing's a very suspect, but I'm going to move on here. Max.
Whatever. Everything's suspect with you.
It
Go
is
ahead.
Suspect, right? Max, what's your problem with these power rankings? What stands out to you?
The Broncos at 5. I can't believe it. Listen, the Patriots at 1, I get that. They didn't have Brady, Gronk, either starting tackle, Dion Lewis. They go on the road to Arizona and get a win. Are you kidding me? So, all right, so Garoppolo might be hurt, and but they already got 2 wins. They're playing with house money now. If they go 1-2, even if they lose both games, and they get Brady back and Gronk back, they're going to kill everybody. Patriots 1, I get it. Steelers 2, I wouldn't put them 2, but they're going to get Le'Veon Bell back. They are stopping the run. They're playing the run well. All of a sudden, the defense is back. Steelers football, run the ball, stop the run. And Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, I understand that. The Cardinals at 3, they lost at home to the Patriots team I just described. You can't have them at 3. The Panthers at 4. I like the Panthers a lot. But they just lost the Super Bowl to the Broncos. Well, that's a different team. Then they lost at home, or excuse me, on the road to that same Broncos team. Well, it was close and they were on the road and they had to freeze the kicker. Okay, fine, but that happened and the Broncos won. Here's the problem with the Broncos at 5 right now. It's like college football. Everyone's opinion goes into the polls. And then based on wins, like the way Louisville should be number 1 right now, but it's like, well, they have too far to come up the polls. In other words, because everyone's opinion was wrong to begin with, then the objective evidence doesn't mean enough. I didn't believe in the Broncos this year either. I didn't believe in them in the Super Bowl last year. But at a certain point, you got to look at the evidence and say, I was wrong. If the Broncos aren't 1, they're no lower than 3. 5 behind the team they just beat twice in the Panthers, behind the Cardinals. That's insulting.
Absolutely. I agree. And now listen, it's disrespectful to have the Broncos at 5. I have the Broncos at number 1 until you dethrone the defending Super Bowl champs, who are 2-0 right now to start the season. There's no way you can move them down the rankings. And now let's get this right. Cam Newton, one of the great quarterbacks in this league right now. Would say top 5, am I right?
Yeah. Or like top 1, but yeah, go ahead.
Ben Roethlisberger, is he a top 5 quarterback?
Yep.
Just speak. You don't need to be asking us questions.
No, yes.
Just get to your point.
Yes.
And we'll go back to
your time,
bad man, Aaron Rodgers last year, right? We'll go back to Aaron Rodgers. This team, and Andrew Luck last week, this team has given up 3 touchdowns to those quarterbacks. 3 touchdowns. And then we go again. Last year, Aaron Rodgers, 77 yards in the passing game. Every elite quarterback that they've seen, they've put it on defensively.
And even with the game on the line last week, I'm sorry to interrupt, but with Andrew Luck, who's a one-man offensive show like Cam Newton, they beat Cam Newton and a really good team. Andrew Luck doesn't have a good team, but with the game on the line, to lead with the pick 6, and then Von Miller with the play that seals it, they are not only a great defensive team, they're a great defensive team when it matters most. At moments of high leverage, they make plays.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate it.
It's 2-on-1 right now?
Doesn't matter. I'm used to winning. Doesn't matter what the odds are stacked
Even when it's
against
double
me.
coverage?
Talk about a delusional fan base.
Here's the deal. You know,
Glad you got your smoothie.
the Steelers should be number 1 on the power rankings, in the power rankings. First of all, let's bring up this. Yes, really. You know what? I'm not even dealing with you right now because she's just trying to be contrary and just coming against me. It's all right. I'll deal with you another time, Mollywood. Here's the deal, okay? When you sit up here and think about the Steelers, let's go to your Broncos.
Go ahead.
Vontez Burfict is who they should give the game ball to, because if Antonio Brown was healthy last year, they would have beat a Super Bowl champion. The Steelers would have beat them. Wait a minute. I can say that. I can say that, though. I can say that.
Yeah.
You wanted to bring up what they did against these quarterbacks. I could bring that up. Big Ben Roethlisberger didn't have his #1 weapon, and he wasn't healthy, if you remember correctly. But unlike Jay Cutler, he actually showed up and tried to play. But that's a different subject for another day. Here we go with the Steelers. Right now, Martavis Bryant couldn't stay off the weed, so he's out for the year.
For the year, though, right? You ain't getting him back.
You ain't getting him back.
Okay.
But Le'Veon Bell, you're getting back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Marcus Wheaton, you might be getting back this week. Ladarius Green should be back in a week or two. So what I'm saying to you is this, excuse me, they're undefeated. Okay, and they are inhibited tremendously. You got the Denver defense, no doubt about that. They're still big time legit. They're going to have to carry that franchise. We'll see what's going to happen with Trevor Siemian when Demaryius Thomas is already complaining. Okay, do I think that Denver should be ranked 5? No, but 3 sounds about right.
Oh.
Hold on, let me finish. I said the Steelers.
You could put them 3.
I said the Steelers. Then we go to the Patriots at #2. Why? Because there's no Tom Brady, there's no Rob Gronkowski, and they still are undefeated.
Hold on, time out. You got the Steelers ahead of the Patriots?
Yes. What part of #1 don't you understand? Is there a number lower than #1 or higher than #1?
You just mentioned the second best receiver on the team being out and the running back. The Patriots is the quarterback, their best offensive player who's not the quarterback. Their running back.
I understand that.
Everybody.
I believe that the Steelers, fully loaded.
They're not fully loaded right now. And you're going off potential. Potentially they come back. They're going to play at the high level.
They'll never be fully loaded.
Hold on, wait a
They're
minute.
missing a guy
Wait a minute. Zip it for a second. You just brought up Gronkowski. He ain't there yet.
He'll be there.
We just finished talking about projecting. So what's the problem? How come you can project but I can't?
Because
I can't do that. I can't do that.
You have a guy who's been ruled out for the season for failing.
No. I said forget him. I brought up Marcus Wheaton. I brought up Ladarius Green. I brought up Le'Veon Bell, who you said was better than Adrian Peterson.
He is, obviously.
Sit back and wait.
He is,
the point that I'm trying to make to you, you just said that he's better than Adrian Peterson. So here's the point. Darren Woodson, 3-time Super Bowl champion, Dallas Cowboy, Mr. No Objectivity having self. Here's the deal. When you look at the Steelers, even without Martavis Bryant, these boys are loaded and their defense looks better. We don't know about Trevor Siemian, even though we know about Brady and Gronkowski. I am making the argument, projecting that the Steelers may be better than the Patriots when all is said and done.
Maybe, but you got them at 1.
Hey, I got them at 1. I got them at 1. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
I'll tell you what.
Why can I do that? Why can I do that?
Maybe.
I will tell you.
Like a little boy that just like stole the cookies.
I will tell you why you can't.
There's no confidence.
I will tell you why you can't do that. Because both of us are making projections. I think it makes more sense than saying Brady and Gronk and everybody's going to be a bigger boost even than Le'Veon Bell. But okay, both got wins. But who's the Steelers' best win against? Do they have a win, like a road win, without every good player on their team practically against a team like Arizona, who, by the way, is rated ahead?
Can I answer the question? Can I answer the question? You want to talk to me? Can I answer the question? They were at home against a Cincinnati Bengal team you said was one of those top 5 teams.
Okay.
What's the problem? They just beat them.
Yeah,
they just beat them. They just beat them.
Yeah. They beat them with their starting quarterback.
They held A.J. Green to 2 receptions.
The Bengals are not the same team they were last year. Now, come on.
I agree with that, but that's because you saw them against the Steelers, and the Steelers made us realize that. That's why I got Steelers #1. They did win. Jets a good team.
Yeah, but
Jets a good team.
Play that well.
Jets are better than your damn Cowboys.
Why don't we bring the Cowboys over there?
I apologize. I should have never brought up the Cowboys because we're talking about power rankings, and they're irrelevant in that picture. We're irrelevant.
Do we agree this?
No,
do we agree
my bad.
Do we agree that not in the order, but they got the top 5 teams right? Patriots, Steelers, Cardinals, Panthers, Broncos. Not in that order, but that's the top 5 teams.
I would agree.
I would point out that the Patriots have a win over one of those teams on the road, the Cardinals, without half their team and all their good players, and the Broncos have a win over one of those teams, the Panthers, who they also beat in the Super Bowl, and the Steelers do not have a win over any of them.
I got Broncos, Steelers, Pats, Panthers, Cards.
I got Steelers.
Because you're a homer, that's it.
Can we get this on the record? So you have the Steelers beating the Patriots at home October 23rd?
Yeah.
Nice thing. I know you too well.
I like that. Hold on.
Your mom. You had your mom on the phone.
Wait a minute.
You are
I wasn't
lying.
thinking about the Steelers.
need to
Hold
go to
on,
break.
Molly. Let me answer your question.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking about the Steelers. I didn't even look at their schedule.
Oh.
But since you brought it up,
I have
at
it
this
here.
moment, do I think that? I'm like, yeah, they gonna beat them.
Oh,
I'm
they
gonna pick
could.
them. I'm gonna pick them right now. I'm gonna pick them right now. I'm gonna pick them right now. Hold on. I'm gonna pick them right now.
Coming up
That was
next,
Cutler-ish.
the
Could be
Giants
a
face off on Sunday. And you know what that
Cutler-ish.
means? Josh Norman versus Odell Beckham Jr. Well, Norman, we had Odell the whole time. You guys didn't hear anything.
Call me Cutler-ish, right? Okay. All right.
Norman will follow Odell Beckham Jr. in Sunday's game against the Giants. A Redskin source telling our Britt McHenry Norman will go, quote, anywhere Odell goes except for slot. The source adding, we're going to let him earn the $75 million. Stephen A. is following him. Your reaction?
I love this.
Me too.
I love this. And I want to applaud the Redskins because they have reminded us they're actually capable of doing something right from time to time. I mean, miracles do happen, and this is one of those moments because Jay Gruden and Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator, there is no excuse on God's green earth why Josh Norman, who you went out in free agency, gave $75 million to $50 million in guaranteed dollars, okay? The biggest, one could make the argument, Max, Darren, the biggest reason Josh Norman got the money that he got was, I don't want to say because of his performance per se against Odell Beckham.
The results.
Because of I'm just saying, the attention it drew, the fact that he was willing to put himself front and center. That's one of the reasons why you came to me, Max, and was talking about how we can't even question the competitiveness of Josh Norman. We know he's not scared because this is a dude that puts himself front and center, which means he was being restrained. He was being held back by the Washington Redskins. Oh, hell no. You are Josh Norman. You say you're one of the elite corners in the game. You, Max, have recognized Odell Beckham Jr. as one of the top 3 receivers in the game. Okay? You got him at number 1 in the game, which is ridiculous. So you got all of that going on. No way on earth for Antonio Brown. Don't even get me started with him, Darren. I'm not going to even bother right now. The point is this. You have to take this assignment. My last point. I told you, a few Hall of Famers, one in particular who will remain nameless, who was very elite.
Did he make plays?
Who was very elite at that position.
Did he make plays?
Hold on. Said to me,
a
quote,
playmaker of
said
sorts?
to me, quote, you asked for that assignment when you play that position, talking about Antonio Brown on Monday Night Football.
Right.
You don't duck from it. So here it is. Josh Norman got to show us what time it is, and if Odell Beckham Jr. gets the better of him, So what? You got to accept that challenge.
I would expect this from the Cowboys, but I guess Washington too. This is a great thing about being a Giants fan. You have poorly run organizations in the NFC East, so even when the Giants are inept, the others are even dumber. I mean, this is the perfect example of a poorly run franchise. Think about this. Norman's been playing really well. He's a valuable defensive player. Now, to justify the money you paid him, because you may have overpaid him, even though he has a lot of defensive value, you're going to misuse him? He can't cover Odell Beckham Jr.
You got to find out.
Well, we found out last year.
No, you didn't.
Odell dropped 2 passes, or it would have been like a million yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But woulda, coulda, shoulda. Here y'all go with this. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Here's the thing.
Well, so do you.
By the way, let's not act like Sterling Shepard didn't just go for over 100 yards. I mean, that kid can play too. He can catch the ball too. And Victor Cruz is back. So pick your poison. They can all play. All the receivers can play. The point is this. Washington is falling for the okey doke. It's Brer Rapp. Don't throw me in that briar patch. And it's working.
You have no heart.
You think they're
It is
responding
working.
no heart.
They're responding
To the
like a
criticism.
bad
no heart.
franchise that they are to public
true,
pressure,
Darren?
Oh,
and they're
please.
misusing
That
the
is
guy
nonsense.
who's been
That
playing
is
excellent
nonsense.
Or are
defense.
they
That is
finally using him
ridiculous.
right?
No, they've been using him right. That's
Oh,
why they're playing well.
what a
Darren,
coward! What a
get
coward!
involved.
I mean, that's what you would do to your
Name
elite
calling.
corner. Your elite corner.
You know-
you're gonna be cowardly and just hide him.
Cowardly. He's not a cover guy. You can be an elite defender and not be a cover guy.
Go ahead,
Did they
Darren.
overpay
I
for
can't deal with him right now.
Darren, please.
Darren, I can't
No,
deal with him right now.
explain
I can't
this.
deal with him right now.
Explain
Get a little shot at the Cowboys. I got you,
Yeah.
Max. I got the little shot.
I'm glad.
Go ahead,
Look,
man.
Josh Norman is the guy. He's the guy that's supposed to be covering Odell Beckham. He's the guy that they should have had him on Antonio Brown. I think Deion is right. Deion Sanders, I played with Deion for 5 years. If Jerry Rice is going, we're going to see Jerry Rice, you absolutely believe that Deion Sanders was not going to have it any other way. He had to see him mano-y-mano, one-on-one.
Because he can cover him.
Yes, and it's the same mentality that Josh Norman has. I want my corner to be that guy that comes up to the meeting and says, look, he's my guy. I understand who you are, Breland. No disrespect, but that's my guy. Antonio Brown, I got him all day. Odell Beckham, I got him all day. Des Bryant, I got him all day. He's my guy. They paid me the money to be the franchise corner who's going to cover that guy.
Coach don't got to let him do it. He can say it. Coach don't let him do it.
Exactly.
And that's very weak.
But it's good. It's great for TV, for one. It's great for the organization. I think it's great for this matchup. We want to see
does it help
this
them win?
matchup.
Yes, it's great
It
for the
doesn't help
fans.
them win,
It's
but
good
that's
for
what matters.
Norman to ask for. It's great for
It
the
doesn't
fans. And it's
help
bad
them
for
win.
Washington.
No,
It's not bad for Washington because there's a confidence builder. When my dog is out there and he's hunting and he says, I want that guy.
Yep.
Even myself, we used to play against good tight ends. I want that guy.
Aaron, you know what, Max is not, you know what part that Max is not picking up? You know what you're missing? The Redskins reportedly wanted to do this earlier, but they were a bit reluctant before going to Josh Norman in the second half against Dallas because they didn't want to get Breland irritated. And what I'm going to you can't be doing that. You got to throw that nonsense out the window.
You guys remember when
That's
they met
what
the
they
first
said.
time? I mean, Odell burned him. When Odell goes for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns this time, you'll see it was a mistake to not use Norman properly.
And
Breland might be more of a cover guy than
You
Norman.
got to find out, Max. You got to find out.
He may beat him for 150, 170 yards this week. And it's okay. I just think there's a confidence builder that goes along your team when you say, I got my dog. He's going to hunt. He's going to take care of that side. Now let's do our thing. And there's like a rallying cry about it. It's almost like you're practicing even harder or you go into the game with more intensity, knowing that your cover corner is going to be there.
Can you answer a question for me? Is it possible to be a better player in the secondary, even if you're not as good a cover player? Like, isn't it possible that Breland's just a better cover guy, but Norman's a more valuable defensive player?
That's true.
So who do you want covering the best wideout on the other team?
But what you're seeing is Breland giving up touchdowns. Antonio Brown, 2. And then you're seeing...
So you'd rather see Norman give up touchdowns?
Absolutely.
Someone's about to give up some touchdowns.
I want to see the guy that I paid $75 million.
You want to see what he's got.
Okay, yeah, as a fan, of course.
No. I'm saying you pay, if I pay you that money, Max, if I pay you that money, think about this. You're talking about Carolina using zone read, zone schemes, etc., which is why Washington wanted Josh Norman, because that's what they employ. Right. While at the same time, that's a reality. The fact of the matter is you gave him that money because you want to you want him to be that dog.
You know what it's like? You sign
$50 million?
You sign a pitcher who throws a sinker ball. He gets double plays. He gets ground balls. Now you're going out and asking him to strike someone out. That's not what he does.
No, listen, I want Triple G. Triple G calls out everyone in the middleweight division, doesn't he? Everyone. He's a dog.
The middleweight division, because he smashes everybody.
Josh Norman, same way. I want to be
not everyone's Triple G.
But he has the mentality. I want to be the guy.
You know what happens when people have that mentality against Triple G? That's the latest knockout victim.
He thinks he is. But he thinks he is. Let him find out.
He would be disabused of that notion.
Let him find out.
Well, fine, but if you're Washington, you should use them better, like you've been using them.
As a coach, you don't want to let him find.
Hold
on. I pay you $50 million. I pay you $50 million. Hold on. I pay you $50 million, Max. I don't want to. I don't want you pay me $50 million. Right. You don't want to find out if I'm worth it.
Beckham to be mentally tough.
He's worth it on the other side of the field.
Anybody get in your head? Ignore all the noise. Stay focused, ODB. Thank you so much for being here. Always fun having you.
Are you scared? You sound a little scared, Molly.
I might be a teeny bit. Beckham, we need you.
No.
Meanwhile, have you guys seen this? It's a bird. It's a plane. Nope, it's Tom Brady. Just kidding. It's actually Wes Welker listed as pranking Pats fans Sunday. Unfortunately, they won't be seeing him for another 2 games.
I'm a football coach. I'm not a doctor. The medical staff is the medical staff. I coach the team. Medical people handle the injuries. They don't call plays. I don't do surgery. We have a great deal there. Works out good.
You wait for them to inform you of what the medical situation is, and then you decide, or is it a situation where you evaluate and then?
I do what's best for the football team. Let me put it a different way. I'm the coach. I do what's best for the football team. I don't know why we can't understand that.
He sounds like you. No one can understand him, right? That was Bill Belichick yesterday answering reporters' questions on the quarterback situation. I say at least he's consistent, but is Bill Belichick too rude, Stephen A?
Not at all. Not at all. I have no problem with Bill Belichick whatsoever. I want to emphasize this. As a native New Yorker from Hollis, Queens, New York City, and very proud of it, by the way, we're like allergic to Boston and Massachusetts, liking anything up there. Okay?
You say it,
I mean, they are the enemy. Having said all of that, outside of the great Mr. Kraft, who I personally revere, I have such incredible admiration for him, had the pleasure of talking to him on several occasions in the past. I love the man. I am a huge fan of Bill Belichick. I told you my man Carlton, the caller that calls into my radio show, Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time every weekday, by the way. My man Carlton, who calls into the radio show from Massachusetts, I mean, I've never seen anybody so fixated on the demise of Bill Belichick in my life. He swears that Bill Belichick has cheated for the last 15 years. 7 years with Spygate and 8 years with Deflategate. This is what he says,
Wait,
okay?
Is Carlton a Pats fan?
Yeah, no. He hates
Okay.
the Pats, and he can't stand Bill Belichick. I sat up there and said, first of all, I don't want to hear anything about no damn cheating. Secondly, and more importantly, if Bill Belichick cheated, damn it, y'all should have learned how to cheat too, because he seems to be doing a pretty damn good job of it. He's a phenomenal coach. He has proven he is the greatest coach of this generation. And when you look at it from that perspective, let's be clear about something here. Sometimes people come and their whole claim to fame is about irritating you and doing what they can to bring you down. He doesn't take the bait. He doesn't bite. He's dry. He's very unassuming. He says as minimal as possible. He's not interested in being your friend. He is the football coach. That's what he is. He ain't trying to be anything else but that. And he consistently reminds you and consistently proves there is the Patriot way, which basically is the Belichick way. And it clearly works. 4 Super Bowl titles, 6 trips to the Super Bowl, numerous AFC championship games.
Ignore the noise, baby.
Bill Belichick is not rude. He's just, look, this is what he is. He ain't changing for you. Go ahead. You'll never look as great as me doing it. But the point is, he does what he does, and it works. Yeah. I don't give a damn. I got nothing but love for Bill Belichick. Nothing at all.
Bill Belichick is the greatest football coach of all time. About that, we agree. That's not what it is here. Is he too rude? We're talking about the way he treated this reporter.
Oh, please. What'd he do?
When he
answered the question 3 different ways.
He is obnoxious while not only evading the question, but also being misleading and fundamentally dishonest.
How do you evade the question?
Now, some people can get away with it. Greg Popovich can do it, and it comes off as charming. Belichick does it, comes off as a jerk.
You don't think they're doing the same thing?
I don't know why exactly.
I love Pop too, but Pop's more rude than Belichick.
Hold on now. My turn now. Colin Kaepernick, before the whole controversy, went through a thing where he was kind of being standoffish with the media. It came off like he was being a jerk. Marshawn Lynch does the same thing. He's charming. At least I find it charming. I don't know what it is. The guy's personality, some people get away with it, some people can't. Popovich can do it because it feels like it's part of a shtick that even the reporter is in on it. Belichick does it. It's aggressive. It's angry. It's meant to humiliate the reporter. Now, let me tell you what's going on here.
Aggressive?
The question was a very strange. The reporter wants to take his readers inside, so he's saying basically what's happening. How much influence do you, like, what do you take into consideration whether you play Garoppolo or not? The medical staff gives you an opinion, and Belichick says they do the injuries, they do the surgery, and I do what's best for the football team. Coach, the question very clearly is, what is best for the football team? Is it always just the short interest today? How do you balance that with the long-term interest? Because medicine, as I said earlier in the show, is an inexact science. It's not precise like astronomy or something. It's inexact. There's lots of gray area. The medical staff might say, yeah, he's cleared, but this is an injury that may be exacerbated. So if you want him for the next 2 weeks, he can do it, but he may not be so good going forward. It could compromise him in some way. And what the reporter is asking the coach is, how do you take that all into account and decide what to do? And Belichick is saying in a humiliating way to the reporter, not only am I not going to tell you, but I'm going to avoid the question, I'm going to mislead you, give you a fundamentally dishonest answer as though the medical staff and the coaching staff have no input with each other, that there's no one making some big final decision, and I'm going to do it in a way that embarrasses you and talk to you like you're an idiot. Come on, that's what he's doing.
Well, I'm not going to call out the reporter because I don't disrespect my colleagues and contemporaries, which is more than I could say for most dudes in this industry, even though I have the platform to do it on an everyday basis if I wanted to. Let me be very, very clear. When Bill Belichick speaks and he spoke to the reporter, he's basically saying, look, man, I answered your question.
No, he didn't.
I'm the coach. Okay?
didn't
I
answer the
make
question.
coaching
Deal with the play
decisions.
calling,
I deal with guys on the field. The medical staff is the one who tells us if
But
these
what
going
if
on,
the medical staff-
if the guys are available. If once they're available, then I coach them.
Right.
If they're not available medically, then they're not available.
No, we
I
know
find
that's
that
not
to be
true.
very simple.
We know that's
How
not
do we
true.
not know that? How do we
Because
know
the
that?
medical staff could say he is available to you today, but it could have a long-term negative consequence on his health. As the coach, how do you take that all into account? When you say I do what's best for the football team, do you mean in week 3 or the team throughout the season?
Hold on.
There's
Hold on.
lots
He doesn't
of
have
gray
to.
areas.
He doesn't have to answer that question.
No, but
Hold
not
on,
only does he not answer,
he doesn't have to answer that. He doesn't have to answer that.
No, that's not the
He doesn't have to
True or
answer
not,
that.
it works.
He doesn't have
I'm
to
with
answer that.
Stephen A. on this one. I like it.
You're both wrong.
Wish Bill Belichick was our coach. More First
Well,
Take.
yeah, he's the best coach.
After the break.
First Take is brought to you by the Lincoln Motor Company and the new 2016 Lincoln MKX. And Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.
Adrian Peterson told our Josina Anderson that he's planning to have surgery Thursday morning to repair his torn meniscus that he injured Sunday night against the Packers. A repair of the meniscus typically takes a minimum of 3 to 4 months for recovery. At the very least, Adrian Peterson knows he will be missing multiple games with this decision. Your reaction, gentlemen?
Well, first of all, I hope that he comes back healthy. He's one of the greatest running backs in history. I wish him nothing but the best. Having said all of that, the Vikings, as far as I'm concerned, have just cost themselves the NFC North crown. They will not win the division. They're still a wild card spot. I don't think they're winning the division over Green Bay, despite their win over Green Bay this week, without Adrian Peterson. Asiata and this kid, Jerick McKinnon, we'll see what happens. But
with or without him, I didn't think they were going to be Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, despite how the Packers have looked so far this season. If anyone can come back for this, we're all rooting for Adrian Peterson to come back from it. It's Adrian Peterson. He is like physically superhuman in his career so far, which is why I thought at the age of 31 he could still be an elite back, even though it didn't start out that way this season. But I don't know how much this actually hurts the Vikings this year. Their run blocking hasn't been good. Adrian Peterson hasn't been good. The pass protection's been much better. Bradford's looked pretty good. Stephon Diggs. This, in a roundabout way, maybe even helps them because they're not going to feel the need to give a legend the ball who's not getting it done.
You're lucky we're running out of time because, damn it, I thought I could have sworn I heard you say something a little different yesterday. But we'll revisit this tomorrow.
No,
It's not the same thing.
They
It's
got
not
a
the
tough
same
one
thing.
this weekend. They're in Carolina at Panthers Sunday. So
This is what happens when you get older. It'll get a little more brittle.
I wouldn't know.
Tom
I'm
Brady
still
is
very
coming.
young.
Keep saying that just because you hurt your
Vibrant.
ankle.
Bye,
Oh, my
everybody.
ankle hurts.
High
Oh, my
ankle sprain.